of the Lakers' personal stories were about perseverance, too. This year, well, hasn't been nearly as easy for the Lakers to form an identity, as evidenced by the last two nights at Staples Center. There was Sunday's game against the Raptors, in which the Lakers were torched by, of all people, Kyle Lowry. Yes, the guard they had chased, then failed to acquire at the trade deadline. It was the Lakers' sixth loss in 7 games, and afterward, we heard a lot of soul-searching. Here's just a small sampling.
The entire team is kind of in a, in a slump right now, in a drought. I think this is the lowest we've been in a while. The only way, is up. We really can't get any lower than this.
I just don't think we're connected right now. I think we're unhealthy and just not good enough. We're just not together as a whole. Team, staff, everything.
Also after that game, LeBron revealed he was feeling increased pain in his ankle. He would miss last night. And we learned that starting point guard Dennis Schroeder was going to be out for at least 10 to 14 days due to COVID protocols. Even once Schroeder comes back, it's unclear what shape he'll be in. As we've seen in Boston with both Jason Tatum, Evan Fournier, it can take weeks or even months after having COVID for some players to feel like themselves again. So yeah, that was a lot for the Lakers to be taking into last night's game against a Denver team that has been red hot despite losing Jamal Murray. And how nice was it, by the way, to see Jamal out on the floor during pregame? You could see how much fun that was for the whole Nuggets group. Yet once the game started, it was the Lakers who were not only able to take a lead, but protect it. AD was sharp, racking up 25 points, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks, and none more crucial than this. Woo! Campazzo's last-second three-point attempt blocked. Now, as a fellow short person, I don't want to point out that there's a little bit of a height difference there, but there's a little bit of a height difference there. Anthony is an entire foot taller than Campazzo, but what really stood out on that play was AD showing he is getting his mobility back. And last night, we saw some standout play from Marc Gasol, who had some solid defense on MVP favorite Nikola Jokic, while also breaking out moves like this full-court pass to Wes Matthews. In many ways, Gasol has been emblematic of the Lakers' search for an identity this season. Gasol began the season as the Lakers' starting center, then fell out of favor enough that the team went after Andre Drummond, whose arrival left Gasol questioning whether he had a place on the Lakers at all. Even last night, he was the Lakers' 11th player to enter the game out of 11 players total. And yet afterward, Gasol seemed more comfortable than he's been in a while, calling himself the Wolf after the Pulp Fiction character who went around cleaning up other people's messes. Now, I'm not sure exactly what that says about the state of this Lakers team in terms of the whole brain splattered in the back seat thing. But hey, at least Gasol has finally seemed to lock in on who he is here in LA. Finding that, it's a crucial aspect of any winning team and something the rest of the Lakers are going to have to do to have any hope of another championship run. So, Perk, is everything good in Lakerland now after that win last night, or do you think they still have to go further in finding their identity?
I think they still have to go further, but I thought last night was a great starting point. And here's why I love the play-in. Last night, the Lakers had to play with a sense of urgency because they were in a must-win situation. That was a playoff-type game. They locked down on the defensive end, holding the Denver Nuggets to only 89 points. They got it out the mud. They were in the trenches last night. That's what you love to see. You love to see Marc Gasol turn back the hands of time, battling it down there with Jokic. Anthony Davis took it upon himself to attack the basket and get guys on a low block. It was a must-win situation. I wouldn't jump the gun because we don't know when LeBron is coming back or if he's ever going to be close to 80%. Right now, I think he's 60%. So it was a great starting point, shall I say, Rachel.
Well, I think what was interesting in this game is Anthony Davis did Anthony Davis things again.
Yes.
And since he's come back, they were minus 56 with him on the court. Mm-hmm. He was not good in the games that he had come back. And he would tell you the same thing.
Right.
But at the end of that game, I was texting with Dave McMenamin in the middle of the show, in the middle of the game, and I said, Dave, AD has to close this. Mm-hmm. This is why he's on the court. This is his team. When LeBron's not out there, he's got to close it. And I thought that last play was pretty emblematic of the night. So Jokic has a 3, and he's got Alex Caruso on the closeout. And he's right there, okay? Well, he's right there. Alex Caruso, you can shoot over Alex Caruso, but Jokic makes the right pass over there to Campazzo. Look at the closeout from Anthony Davis. Look how much ground he covers there. Mm-hmm. Okay, Campazzo's he's a little short, okay? But look at how much ground Anthony Davis closed on that. Then he gets a steal, gets a block, and finishes out that play there. And I think when you see their identity last year, Perk, and we talked about them a lot, they are a defensive-minded team, and they were not winning with defense in the last since Anthony Davis had come back. He is the head of the snake for them defensively, and when he's doing those kinds of things out there on the court, and Marc Gasol is, what would you call his defense on Jokic yesterday?
I mean, he called himself the wolf. He's the cleaner.
Arm in the back, right? I mean, he was. You could not move him. I mean, he was Big Spain out there this time, and I think when you have those two guys out there, plus Marc Gasol kind of playing point guard out there without Dennis Schroeder, that is a different kind of identity for them, but it's something they can work with until LeBron comes back.
Perk, how concerned are you about Dennis being out for these couple weeks?
I'm very concerned because, Rachel, I always say, and Ramona, I always tell the world that guys could do whatever they want to try to stay in basketball shape. And I don't know how the protocol situation is. I don't know if Dennis is even able to train. But in order to get back in shape, you have to play basketball games. You have to be able to have that workload. And so I'm concerned for when Dennis do get back, that time is not on his side. It's not that many games left. And when he comes back, he's just going to have to get thrown in the thick of things. And one thing could happen is, and I hope it don't, injuries happen because you haven't been able to work out. So, I hope Dennis is in there, wherever he's at. I know he's probably in protocol, so I hope he's doing his push-ups, squat jumps, doing whatever he can to try to stay in shape. But I'm very concerned with him getting back and being able to play at top capacity, especially in the playoffs.
Well, it's an interesting, larger question, too, because he's not the only one. In fact, we have two players in the playoff race, Zach LaVine and Schroeder, out due to COVID protocols. And it's an issue because LaVine has missed 11 games for the Bulls, who have fallen out of the play-in race in the East. Schroeder is missing games due to COVID protocols for the second time this season. With vaccines widely available, you do wonder if this second absence could have been prevented. Schroeder's teammate Anthony Davis spoke about the vaccine yesterday after the game. Take a listen.
I think it was highly encouraged, and some guys did, some guys didn't, for their own personal reasons. I decided to, for my own personal reasons. The rules do change a little bit when you are fully vaccinated. So I'm not sure. I think we got a lot of guys on this team who have been vaccinated. I think, if I'm not mistaken, but we're just trying to play our part, man. Honestly, I'm trying to play my part and get 20,000 back in Staples so we can, get some more cheers in there than we have now.
Ramona, look, which players haven't been vaccinated is a personal issue. The NBA has made it clear they're not going to force anyone to get vaccinated. Dennis Schroeder made it clear to a German news outlet that he is not one of the Lakers who got vaccinated. And he missed time due to contact tracing earlier this season. This time, because he's out 10 to 14 days, we can make the assumption of why this time it may be actually contracting COVID. And with time now costing players at this crucial point in the season, is there pressure, Ramona, on players to get vaccinated? The vaccine's available. Is it sort of looking around the locker room and being like, well, you're out for these few weeks and we don't know if you had to be?
Well, we have an issue, Rach, where, we have to have, there's privacy concerns where you can't disclose if somebody has COVID unless they decide to empower the team to do it or they reveal it themselves. But you have to, your teammates know.
Right.
Okay, and I think that's probably the most important thing in this situation. These are probably the two most important weeks of the Lakers season. And the Lakers had the opportunity to get the vaccine April 16th. Most of them did. Dennis Schroeder obviously expressed to the German newspaper that he had some hesitancy. There's plenty of people around the country who have hesitancy. And the NBA kind of treated this as a sort of carrot and the stick, okay? The carrot is, hey, if you get the vaccine, you can go out.
You heard Anthony refer to that. The
you can go do that.
And
I really like his messaging on this, which is essentially we all have to do our part. I'm trying to play my part. I think that's the messaging that we're going to have to get to in our country as a whole. And we're slowly getting there because there was a long time where the vaccine was not widely available.
Right.
And now it is. And so I think that's the second phase of this. And I really appreciate Anthony disclosing, hey, I took the vaccine.
Yep.
I got it, and I'm doing great.
Yep.
And, I appreciate everybody who is sort of forthcoming about it, because I think once you say Anthony Davis got it, and he's okay.
Yep.
That's what helps everyone get past it. But when you talk about whether Dennis got it or didn't get it, now he has COVID, he might have COVID, he's out for these protocols. Your teammates know, and I think those are the people that you have to be most accountable to at this point in the season.
Kendrick, what do you think the dynamic is in the locker room with that stuff?
Well, I mean, I think, it's a ripple effect, and it all depends on who your leaders are, right? And I think leadership is strong, because, if you see your leaders doing it, then it's going to ripple down to the others. And here's another thing that I feel like for us NBA players getting vaccinated, and when we're looking at the Dennis Schroeder situation right now, the playoffs are right around the corner. And if I'm other organizations that have, these tensions of making the playoff runs or winning the championship, I want to make sure that I give my team and my organization the best possible chance and have guys healthy and have guys available. So they should take notice. And if I'm an organization, you know what? I'm encouraging all my players, coaches, and everyone to go out there and get vaccinated just for your health, not only to win games, but for your health in general.
I've seen some pushback from people sort of like, well, it's his choice about his personal health, and that is absolutely true. But let's not pretend that athletes don't make those choices all the time. We all remember, of course, Zeke, right, in the NBA Finals, coming in and playing on a sprained ankle that every trainer on the bench told him, you will do more damage to yourself long term. This will be with you for the rest of your life. If you come play, he decided to play. We know Ronnie Lott for the 49ers amputated his pinky. Again, if you're too young to remember that, Google. The man cut off one of his fingers because he wanted to play in that team's championship runs and going through the seasons with them. So again, I'm not saying you got to cut off a finger. And I don't know if anyone in the Lakers locker room is saying to Dennis, hey, dude, why didn't you get vaccinated? Now you're out for 2 weeks and this is going to cost us, and maybe, again, cost them further down the road if he has COVID in a way that stays with him. And again, we just don't know, and we won't know that for a while. But to pretend that this is just not a continual issue for athletes, it absolutely is. That balance of what do I want to do for myself and my personal health versus what is going to do to need to help the team. And it's interesting now in this age of coronavirus and vaccinations to have it coming in a whole new way. All right, guys, coming up, Draymond Green, Serge Ibaka for just a clip we will run forever. Make bravery, Nuggets, Lakers. Anthony Davis with a full head of steam gets very ambitious trying to dunk on Jokic. Ramona, if he's attempting this, his body has to be feeling okay?
Yeah, it was the beginning of the game. He was trying to, make an impression and set the tone. I like the ambition.
I think he was just trying to see what he could do, Rachel and Ramona. He was testing the waters, trying to see where his athleticism was at.
You've done that before, right, Perk? You've jumped like that?
I wish.
Perk can probably still just reach, though.
That's true.
Can't do that if you're us. All right, Miss Aim. Blazers Hawks. Trae Young firing a pass to Bogdanovic and hits him right in the head. Perk, what happens when this happens?
I mean, all you can do is laugh it off. I'm just trying to see what too big. What's up? I don't get it. What?
I mean, he was standing when he threw the pass. He was standing. We need to check to see if there's a wet spot on the floor.
Guy got involved.
Pretty good accuracy, though.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that again if you tried.
No, you could not. Especially it was a moving target, too, which, really, the angle, it's very impressive. All right, make reminders. Derrick Rose, huge down the stretch last night. Look at this move on Dylan Brooks.
Okay.
There we go. Oh, I'm sorry. You thought I lost my handle? I didn't. I'm Derrick Rose. He also got Brooks last month with this nasty spin move. So, Perk, I think Rose likes the matchup, although he likes pretty much every matchup in New York this season, right?
Absolutely. And you know what, Rachel? I want to say I apologize because when Derrick Rose went to the New York Knicks, when he was traded there, I said, why would he go there and not a contender? Let me apologize to Derrick Rose and the New York Knicks because he's been doing a hell of a job off the bench for them.
Well, you know what people always also said is, he's going to cut into Emmanuel Quickley's time and development. you know what? It's working out just fine. Last 8 games, he's averaging 19.5 points, shooting almost 60% from the field, 50% from 3. He's been great.
His impact has been incredible. And, we want to run it back to some of his all-time best moves because it's Derrick Rose. We got plenty. 2016, Mike Conley with the quick cross. Sorry, Mike. There you go. Yeah, I'll just go this way. Thank you. Number 4, also in 2016. Put Zach LaVine on some roller skates.
Oh, my goodness.
That's that young D Rose right there. Come here, young fella.
Oh, with the face mask and everything. That means
I gotta appreciate Zach at least stayed on his feet. So there's that. 2009, Rose getting fancy on the break versus the Raptors.
Ooh.
That is not easy to go behind the back at full speed like this.
I was gonna say it's the direction change at speed. Come on.
You know, we don't talk about his handles enough, right? We talk about Kyrie Irving, but my God.
Well, that's a bar to hold him up to. All right, 2010. Sorry, Tyreek Evans.
Look at that crossover.
Oh, man. And number 1, you want young Rose? How about rookie Rose? Watch how he puts Andre Miller on his bottom here.
Oh, don't do that to Andre. Come on. How old was he there?
I mean,
he was old
he
for
was
a long
closer
time.
to the floor. I know that.
Yeah. That's not nice.
Not nice of Derrick Rose. I didn't do it. He did it.
Yeah, you dug up that highlight.
There you go. Look,
I was speechless.
if you look at
I was
some of
just enjoying the clips.
I'm telling you, if you look at some of the numbers, seriously, from when Derrick joined the team this season to now, the jumps in almost every category, the impact he has been able to have, it is just unquestioned. And when you say, gee, I said, why wouldn't he want to go to a contender? The fact that he helped make them a team that is right smack in the middle of that bracket in the East, that is a credit to Derrick Rose. All right, here's what the Jump recommends for today. Ramona Shelburne, I know who she is. Her article on ESPN.com about how this crazy NBA regular season has been saved by one man, the Human Torch, Steph Curry. Take a listen here to what Draymond said about Steph last night.
Anytime you step on the floor with Steph Curry, there's an advantage there. Teams are terrified of him. And everywhere he runs on the floor, with or without the ball, teams are terrified. And with that type of gravity, he pull a lot of weight. And even when he's not the one, I could be the one making the pass, but it's him creating for other guys. And that's very important. With the way he's playing. For another 41-point night, very tough to stop. And, as I said before, I wouldn't want to see a team with Steph Curry on there. We all know what he's capable of. A guy can take over a game and make it hard for any team in the NBA, on any given night.
Now, Ramona, you heard me earlier. I would argue that teams have been terrified by Steph for a long time. And last season, the dip was obviously just because of so many injuries and the whole team. But how has he managed to elevate his play this season? What did you find in your piece?
Well, look, I think the thing that's impressive about Steph this year is he's playing without the same kind of supporting cast. And he is not playing for championships anymore, right? Right now, they are 32-25 with him and 1-7 without him. Okay, without Steph Curry, they are basically a 10-72 team. That's what that translates to over the course of an 82-game season. And I thought the most fascinating thing in talking to him, I go, you know the difference. You know what it's like to be playing meaningful games in June and deep into NBA Finals. How are you getting up for these games right now? When this game against Pelicans, this was for 10th place. This is for a spot in the play-in tournament. And he goes, I had 9 months to just recharge the battery. He was home like so many parents in this country, homeschooling Riley, right? His 7-year-old daughter then, now she's 8. He was a second grade teacher on Zoom. And I said, well, were you good at it? Did you have fun? And he goes, well, I enjoyed it, but I don't think I was very good. I was being compared to her friends that she normally hangs out with, so I guess I wasn't a good hang. I think he just had 9 months off to miss basketball and 9 months off to realize, you know what, you only get to do this for a certain amount of time in your career. And he has that joy and he has that infectiousness that really elevates everyone around him. And I think, especially this last year or so, we've all had to, be at home and we're kind of lonely, and the guys on the road this year, you don't have a lot of connection to people, but when you go to work with a guy like Steph Curry, it makes your day a little brighter. And I think that's what's really happened with the Warriors this year. I mean, just talking to Steve Kerr, it's just, I could feel him smiling through the phone.
Well, I actually think, I think Steph Curry actually believed he could lead this team
Yeah.
to a championship. When I'm watching him play, I'm not going to downplay him anymore. Like, I'm not going to say anything negative about Steph Curry. Like, what is he playing for? Yes, he has great joy, but he's playing to win. I remember about 2 months back that he was getting on the guys on the sideline like
shot is
something
ridiculous.
that we never seen Steph Curry do, with a passion like about winning. And so he's coming out here to win games. Right now, this Golden State Warriors team is currently sitting in the 8th spot, and they got a chance to continue to climb. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, this boy right here is on a mission. He is on a mission, and he's trying to shock the world. So I'm not going to downplay and say that Steph Curry is not trying to win a title. I strongly believe, I don't know what's going on through his mind at all. I know he's out there trying to win games.
You know what's terrifying, Perk, Rachel? The idea of Steph Curry in a one-game play-in tournament that could send you home.
That is absolutely correct. Ramona, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Up next, Knicks coach Tom Thibodeau stops by live to talk about his playoff-bound team and how he's been able to help turn around one of the NBA's most popular. Very happy when you stop in. And oh, look, senior writer Zach Lowe is here, too. Welcome, Coach. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Tibbs.
What's up, Kirk? How you doing?
We've got some excited panelists here. And Coach, your Knicks won last night. That was your 12th win in your last 13. You've not only put together what's going to be the team's first playoff season in 8 years, but it's just remarkable how you have really seemed to turn the franchise around in some fundamental ways. When you first took the job, what were the biggest changes you thought the team needed to get to where you are today?
Well, I think, initially just looking at the players that we had, I knew we'd have to first make a commitment to play for each other, to work hard, and to play smart and to build the right habits. And we've gotten great support from our owner, Jim Dolan, has given us everything that we've asked for. And then from our senior management team, Leon, Wes, and Scott Perry, it's been terrific. And you can't say enough about what Julius Randle has done. He's had an MVP-type season. Just the impact on winning, his leadership, and then we've had a number of other players step up and just play great basketball for us.
Tibbs, now I get to ask you a question finally. I got the floor. I'm used to you having the floor, now I get to ask you the question. Hey, Tibbs, look, first of all, I want to say I'm proud of the job that you're doing, but I want to ask you, your time away, how was it? How did it affect you for us being able to look at the game differently so that when you did come back into this situation, how to handle this new generation of talent? Because I'm watching you let Julius Randle and Derrick Rose and Quickly and R.J. Barrett, you cutting them loose offensively. This ain't the Tibbs I knew. I know, okay?
Well, Perk, you always trying to work that angle in Boston. You wanted to have the ball in your hands, make plays, shoot the three. Yeah, but that wasn't happening. No, but yeah, I think the big thing is, you always want to learn and grow and challenge yourself. And the NBA game is always changing. It never stays the same. It's in the 90s, it was played one way. The early 2000s played another way. It's always evolving. But the things that go into winning, that always stays the same. The hard work, the discipline, the playing together, making a commitment, sacrificing for the team, being strong on both ends of the floor, that stays the same. So we're fortunate. We have a great group of guys. R.J. Barrett's having a terrific season. Our vets, we've got Derrick Rose, Taj, Alec Burks, Reggie Bullock. They're all doing a phenomenal job. Elfrid Payton. And then the center position, we started off the season with Mitchell Robinson, who was playing terrific, but Nerlens Noel has been fantastic all year. And then, of course, Taj Gibson stepping in and doing the things that he's done. It's been a great team effort. It's a very together team, and every night we believe we have a chance to win.
It was really great hearing Taj Gibson talk about how this is living out his childhood dream playing for the Knicks. But, Coach, I want to get back to something else you mentioned in that answer. You brought up your time in Boston with Perk. Of course, you guys on that magical run to the 2008 title. I need your best Perk story, Coach, because we need to tell some stories on Kendrick Perkins. That's what this is about.
When I got there in the middle of the summer, and I'll never forget, Perk was there, and he wasn't in. Let's just say he wasn't in the best of shape. But so we were having a little workout, and we had a good group. Tony Allen, we had a bunch of guys in, Rajon Rondo, and they started working, and then things picked up, and you could see Perk was hurting a little bit, but he wouldn't quit, and he had to step off the court a couple times and take care of some business, but then he came back, he would not leave. And let me tell you something, though. He was such a critical part of that team. He and Kevin anchored that defense, and it was special.
Hey, Coach. Early in the season when you guys were rampaging on defense, some of us were a little skeptical, saying the Knicks are giving up too many threes, it won't sustain, teams will start hitting their threes at a normal rate, and a couple of things happened. You started allowing fewer threes as the season went on. So what I want to know is, were you worried about the threes, and what changed in your defense to start limiting the threes a little bit?
Well, I think the big thing was I saw the commitment by our players in practice, and how they were flying around. So it was the ball, the paint, react out, cover the line. And so even though they were the shots that the so-called experts were charting, you don't know who's doing the charting. And you don't know how quickly those closeouts are occurring. But I saw the way we were challenging shots and the way we can make up ground quickly. And I felt like we would be good defensively. And we became a multiple effort team, and guys were tied together. And that's the one thing we count on every night. We count on our defense, our rebounding, and our ability to share the ball and make plays for each other. But I thought our defense would be a strong suit right from the beginning.
Well, that is a Tom Thibodeau team, friend. We
absolutely.
know the defense is going to be strong. Julius Randle, obviously, also strong. Just real revelation for this team this year. We had him on the show last week, Tibbs, and he raved about you. Take a listen to what your star player said behind your back.
I think me and him really hit it off just because from the beginning, I saw how serious he took his craft, and he saw how serious I took the craft. I call Tibbs a beast, man, because everything we do, he's so detailed, no matter what it is. For practice, to shoot around, very detailed. He don't miss anything from film, whatever it is. Like, he's on point with everything, and I love that because every game that we play, we feel like we're prepared as if it's a playoff game. Tibbs is amazing, man. I love playing for him. I love competing with him. There's no other coach I ever want to go to war with, man. I love him.
All right, we lost Coach there for a second. You saw him blink out there, but it really has been tremendous to see that partnership this year. Perk, oh, no, we got him back. All right, great. So, Tibbs, again, your guys talk about you even when you're not there. It is all
Rachel.
Love. I loved seeing that.
I'm sure they do.
Rachel, he had to fade away a little bit and wipe his eyes. He didn't want tears. Don't want the world to see him shedding no tears. That was the emotional moment. I kind of got teary-eyed.
Tibbs, what do you make of what Julia said?
I can't say it. I just caught bits and pieces of it, but I can't say enough about him. And when I first got hired, I asked him to come in the summer just to spend some time with him. And I wanted to see where he was conditioning-wise. And once I saw that, and then I saw the way he was shooting the ball, I just felt like the way that his capacity for work, the shape that he was in, I knew that he would be the type of leader that could help lift the group. And then I can't say that I saw all of this coming just because he's been great. Not only, individually, his numbers speak for themselves, but it's what he's done for the team and his impact on winning that's made him so special. And if you're a young player and you come into the gym and you see a guy who is your best player there, first one in, last one to leave, coming back at night, that's leadership to me. That's the best type of leadership that you can have. So I think all our young guys have benefited from that. And then his unselfishness, I think his willingness to make plays for his teammates, it becomes contagious. And all his teammates are doing the same thing. They're all playing for each other, and that's made the group successful.
It's really remarkable how often the answer is hard work, right? I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. Talent. You guys have had great leadership in the front office with Leon Rose, Worldwide West, Scott Perry, your coaching, Tibbs. But so much of this is about, are you the first one in? Are you the last one out? Are you willing to do the work? Your teams are always a hallmark of those for us in the NBA. We appreciate it. It's so much fun to watch. Thank you, Coach, for being with us.
Well, Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Hey, Tibbs, I'll see you soon.
Take care,
All right,
Coach.
Mark.
We'll see you in the
Rachel,
playoffs,
bye.
Tibbs. That's the best way to say it. We'll see you in the postseason. All right, guys, coming up, the fourth game. Both teams alternating leads into the fourth, and oh boy, Giannis Antetokounmpo dropping 49 points, outdueling Kevin Durant, who scored 42 himself. The teams play again tonight. So, Perk, did the Bucks prove anything to you with their win over the Nets?
You know what, Rachel? I'm about to make Zach Lowe day right now. Guess what? They did. I'm not hating on the Bucks, although I want them to do the same thing in the postseason. I've seen this story before, but it's two takeaways I took from that game. One, when it mattered the most, Giannis delivered in great fashion. He went toe-to-toe with Kevin Durant. He guarded Kevin Durant. Although Kevin Durant still had 42, I thought that Giannis didn't back down from the matchup. Two, Drew Holiday defense is so underrated, it's ridiculous. We know what he could do offensively, but the way that he guarded Kyrie Irving, we don't see too many guys in the NBA that are able to get up in the Kyrie Irving airspace, jam him, and not get crossed up or get put on the floor because of ankle breakers. Drew Holiday really guarded Kyrie Irving extremely well, so that was the biggest takeaway. But I am interested to see, can Giannis duplicate that again tonight and go toe-to-toe again with Kevin Durant? Because we know what KD is going to do, the best scorer in the game today.
Three things they proved. Number one, like Perk said, the Bucks' 3 stars, they're not as famous. They don't have as many all-star appearances. Collectively, they're not as good, but they are not afraid of Brooklyn stars, and albeit one of those 3 stars did not play. Number two, the Bucks are moving more and more, and particularly for this matchup, into switching, and I think we're going to see more of P.J. Tucker at center now that he's back full-time. And number three, I don't know if he proved it or what he proved, but I thought that might have been the finest offensive game of Giannis's career. And it wasn't just the threes and the jumpers that were important to me. It was the floaters and the hook shots in traffic, because those are the kind of go-to moves he's going to need when just barreling to the rim into a wall of defenders isn't going to work. Those were the counters that were missing against Miami and Toronto in previous playoff series. And if he really has those down, if he's really ready to bust those out in high-pressure situations against great defenses, the Bucks have a shot.
I love that last point, Zach, because I was part of the broadcast crew for that game, and I talked to Giannis afterward, and he's very humble, right? He said, you can't go back and forth with Kevin Durant. He's the greatest scorer this game's seen, and all that stuff. He said he got lucky. He didn't get lucky. He's been working on all of those moves, that variety, improving from the free throw line, improving from the three-point line, adding that sauce in different places to make his game less predictable, and we saw it all there. I do want to just say, you say, albeit it was without one of their stars. It was without an MVP player who is their point guard. And I just want to note that the Nets are 27-7 with James in the lineup and 500 when Harden doesn't play. So I think it's great that the Bucks were able to pull this out, but I can't look at this as a playoff preview unless, look, the Nets haven't had all 3 of their stars for more than 7 games this season, so I'm not sure we're going to get all 3 in the playoffs. But if they do have all 3 guys, and one of those 3 is James Harden, they're not a 500 team anymore. And so I just think we're going to have to wait to say this game proved this until we see it when it counts in the postseason. Hopefully, we get everybody healthy by then on all the teams around the league. Wouldn't that be nice? All right, up next, in a single month, 85 trades, just 13 games. The month isn't even over yet. They've got 2 more games left in April. So, Robert, is Steph's record-setting month something, nothing, or everything, Big Shot?
And everything Steph does right now is everything is the best, because when you look at Steph's play, he doesn't have his main man, Clay. Draymond is kind of losing a step, and he has to go out there and do it by himself. So this is everything. For him to step up and do what he's doing, to score so many threes at a rate that he's doing. Because think about it. When you have a player like this, you know exactly what he's going to do. He's like, okay, he's going to shoot threes. Yep. You can double team him. But it doesn't help because his handles get him out of every situation he can possibly get in. So this is everything. This guy is, like another MVP candidate right here. And he might be the number 1 for me.
No, look, I think it's something. I wouldn't say it's everything, mainly because when you look at the record that he is about to break or pass James Harden, when you look at that, it's like, yo, this is the way the game is trending. So James Harden,
because of him.
No, I understand that, but James Harden held the record. James Harden held the record. It's not because we've seen enough 3-point records where it's Steph breeding his own record. Right? This was something that it was like James Harden, what he did for a month and what he did over that season was just remarkable. And then Steph was like, hey, give me that record back. I need that back. So I think this is something. I think it would be everything if this was getting them to the number 1 seed or if this was something that was going to vault them to the next level. That's how he won the unanimous MVP. So I think it's something. It's not everything.
It's not everything. It's something.
Okay.
It's not everything because you look at Steph Curry and you see him, the marksmanship, the extraordinary sniper-like tendencies that he has. And then you just sit up there and say, this is the greatest shooter God has ever created. I've never seen anybody that can shoot the ball like this. And then you go to his numbers, and you see him averaging 31, and you see him shooting 49% from the field, and you see him shooting 43% from three-point range. And then you go to his stats, career-wise, and you see the numbers aren't any different than what he customarily does. Then you look at somebody like the great Damian Lillard, who I'm a huge fan of. And we made a big deal over the fact that Damian Lillard shot better than 40% from three-point range, I believe it was last year. And then I looked at Steph numbers, and he's never shot less than 40% from three-point range in his career, with the exception of last year when he only played 5 games before the season was interrupted by the bubble. That is the only time in the career of Steph Curry that he has shot worse than 40% from three-point range. This brother is something special. God just gives you certain gifts, and when it comes to him, his gift is shooting. He's so great as a shooter. Anybody whose name is Curry that can't shoot will be exiled from a conversation. We won't like them because we were like this. Who's your relatives? How could you have this last name and you're missing shots? That's how great Steph Curry is. And when Klay Thompson gets back healthy next year, God willing, I'm telling you right now, the Golden State Warriors at the very least will be in the conference finals.
Ooh.
At the very least.
You buy that?
I don't buy that one, Steve. I love you, dog, but I don't buy that.
How?
Because he's in the West, big dog. So? In the West. Okay, but here's the thing. Also, when a guy comes back from injury, Klay has come back from 2 devastating injuries. It's going to be hard for him to get back to being Klay. I love Klay. He's one of the best defenders in the league.
I'm not denying that.
Draymond Green is losing step. Wiseman, we don't know what's going to happen out of Wiseman, so they're not going to have the crew. They're going to be.
I'm only talking about if he's healthy. That's all I'm about.
We're going to continue this conversation. Stick with us. Here's what the Jump recommends for today. Check out the latest NBA power rankings on the ESPN app. We've got new faces in the top 5 this week. After the break, well, these guys are going to continue their conversation in the commercial. We will actually. I think they might need to do a little more with.
They need more. They need more.
I need more.
I think I really believe that with Wiggins, if he grows, if I don't know what's going to happen.
He's been growing for 5, 6, 10 years.
I'm just talking about within the
one
role.
Of these draft picks that got coming up.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'd give Wiggins away for a bag of cookies. And I'm going to tell you why. Not because of his talent, but there's something about him that says he doesn't want it. It's a job. It's a job.
I feel like that's changed a little bit since he got to Golden State.
I'll give him credit for that. But Klay with Steph, you have any idea how that opens up the floor for everybody else? Please.
Right.
Please, conference finals.
Make a move.
Conference finals.
I can see them making the conference finals.
Bet dinner.
There we go. Dinner on the most up-to-date NBA futures odds, according to Caesars William Hill.
That's who they want you to bet on.
The current favorite to win the title. Yes, Richard, we always make the point. This is who they think they can take money on. But they're only slightly ahead of the Lakers, who are followed by the Jazz and Clippers. So, Robert, I love being able to say this sentence. So, Robert, you've been on 7 title teams. That's just like the most fun sentence in TV, isn't it? You've won 7 rings. Which team do you trust the most right now? I love this question.
You know, I'm going to have to go with nobody right now, man. Because it's the thing, because the reason I say that because of injuries. Lakers got injuries. And look at the Nets. This guy's out, and then that bug called COVID-19. You don't know what's going to happen with that and how everybody's going to start traveling out. Fans are going to come in the arenas more. There's so many different things that can happen with that. So I don't really trust anybody right now until we get down to the finals and we see where everybody's seated and we know what's going to happen with the protocol, if there's going to be a bubble. I know it's not, but hey, I'm waiting to see.
In television, you got to make a choice, my brother. Tell them. All right, so I'm going to make it for you. It's the Brooklyn Nets. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not about LeBron, because I completely trust him. AD and that calf, okay, is eerily similar to what happened to KD. years ago in the playoffs before he showed up in the finals and then it ripped. I'm praying that doesn't happen to AD. I don't wish that on anybody. I love the guy, but I'm scared.
You got a lingering worry.
As it pertains to the Brooklyn Nets, I think KD gonna be ready, and one or the other, Harden or Kyrie, if not both, are gonna be ready. And listen, I've been on the record. You ain't winning. You ain't coming out of the East with just Harden and Kyrie. You ain't coming out of the West, the East. I'm sorry, with them. But whoever has KD, you gonna be all right. And that's what I'm telling you. The Brooklyn Nets, because of Kevin Durant, again, when we talk about Steph Curry, comes in the second quarter, yes, they drops 33. We didn't care because it's KD.
Yep.
That's why we're not concerned. Because of KD in the East. The combination of the two, Nets are the better bet.
Gosh. As much as I love to disagree with you.
You can't.
You can't, because this is the thing. When you look at the Lakers and their balance, but the Nets' balance is starting to look very
Joe Harris,
Green, Bruce Brown, Jeff Green. Like you're starting to look and look,
Nick
even
Claxton,
but
like,
they have a lot of talent there. I will say this: the injury that Anthony Davis is trying to get through is very different than soft tissue injuries like James Harden, like Kevin Durant, like those little soft tissue. If you had to pick one, with both LeBron and AD missing so much time and having played in a month, and I know Anthony Davis back, you got to say the Nets, but not by much.
And the undeniable,
not by much.
And the undeniable element is this. We can say what we want. I don't like Kyrie's personal days. I'm not talking about the last personal day. I'm talking about the previous ones where he didn't tell us what was going on, and he just said he needed to turn time off. No, not after 9 months off. You don't need time off 3 weeks into the season. Having said all of that, this brother is arguably the greatest show in the NBA. His skills are so nasty, and he lives for the postseason to show up. He will show up in the postseason. He will be ready.
All right, so let me distill the question down to just the West, right?
Sure.
So the Nets are the team you trust most overall. That makes them the team you trust most in the East. What about the West? Who do you trust most in the West?
The Lakers, because of LeBron James.
That's it.
LeBron James. Listen, I cannot applaud the man enough. 36 years of age, 18th year in the league, and up until this injury hadn't missed a game. He's not somebody because of nicks and knacks or a day of rest takes time off. He is the marquee. He knows the responsibility that comes along with it. You played with the Kobes of the world. You played with stars before, including LeBron. Obviously, you and I have covered the league for decades. Guys that accept that responsibility and show up, I can't say enough about them. We love this league because of guys like them. LeBron is that dude. And when I look at Kawhi Leonard, I would pick the Clippers if I know he'll be there to come playoff times. But the roller coaster that is the regular season and his unwillingness to prioritize that the way that he should, I think they'll come back to pay for it. And I think that the Clippers will come up short. I'm praying for a Clippers-Lakers battle because it's owed to us by Kawhi, who did not show up because they gave up a 3-1 lead in the semifinals last year. LeBron was waiting after he had the dead commercial, the crown dangling from his convertible, all that stuff with the New Balance commercial, and then he didn't show up. He owes us this. But LeBron and the Lakers are more trustworthy out west.
Yes, you know, they're the defending champs, first of all, and they got 2 of the top 10 players in the league. So I agree with you on that, Steve. And since you're making me pick someone I trust, it's going to be the Lakers. You got to trust the Lakers because they're the defending champs. And like you said, they got LeBron James and that culture. We always talk about culture. It ain't nothing like it. Win a championship in a Laker uniform.
I've always called you brilliant. I've always called you
I do want to see a Lakers-Clippers matchup, though, because the Clippers look really good to me.
You have to make it happen.
So I'm going to work on it.
You have to make it happen.
Staples Center's right across the street.
You know, don't be neutral on this. You have to demand that both LA teams show up. You can do it, Rachel Nichols. You can do it. You got the clout.
Stephen A., who, by the way, your old days at the Philadelphia Inquirer, my old days at the Washington Post, I have been honored ever since to be next to you. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll get you back here soon.
Rich, I know I didn't mean to depress you, Rich. I know I'm talking about your Nets. I know the word Nets, you don't like
it. It was like it went from like, it was like Nets and Lakers
look at the bottom
and Nets
there.
and
Stephen A.'s
Knicks.
World. Listen, well, you should watch